My name is Sean. It says Sean on here, so you could see that. And I'm not alone. I'm with Angie in Hawaii. And I spoke with Angie, wow, almost 3 years ago. And I want to share with our audience, and you may not be watching this live, but it might be sometime in the future. Thank you for watching and listening and your support. This is a podcast primarily. We have 1 to 2 episodes coming out every single week for more than 5 years. I know you probably know that already. Live stream is newer, where I've been inviting past guests to have conversations about various topics. However, this is the first time, this is exciting, that I'm doing an update episode with a past guest, and we're doing it live. And Angie here said, I'm game to do it. And this will also be a podcast episode at some point in the next couple of months. But let me stop talking for a moment and say, hey, Angie.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm okay. We have glasses, both of us, and we're bold with our glasses choice. We just got to get that out of the way. So thank you for wearing your glasses.
Thank you for wearing your glasses.
Thank you.
When we have the nice contrast of statement and classic.
Yeah, we have different. Yep. And this is what is interesting about this is that usually when I'm speaking with people, it's not live. So I can say things and I know it's not going to make the final version, right? And that will be what happens for the podcast, but this is live.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. I want to let our audience know we spoke, and I believe it was the last episode of 2022, which means we probably spoke in the late fall of 2022. I did not listen to our entire episode. However, I did listen back to the blurb. I choose a little section of our conversation I put at the very beginning of these episodes. And your blurb I chose, which really stood out to me because you were emotional.
Yeah.
And you were upset. You sounded upset. And by the way, if you're curious, you can listen to Angie's entire episode. It's the last one of 2022. Scroll back wherever you listen to podcast episodes or podcasts. You were upset. You said, all I wanted, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, all I wanted was a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And they treated me like a caged animal. And how hospitals essentially were not good places. That maybe I'm adding a little more there. But caged animal is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, and then we'll get back into we'll do a little bit of a summary of what you were going through when we talked then. And then obviously the last almost 3 years. Do you still feel that way about hospitals?
Absolutely. I'm at the point, because of that experience was so horrible. If I got hit by a car, I would not want to get taken to the hospital.
Even that kind of hospital. You're not talking about a mental health.
No. Well, the hospital I went to, because I was in the emergency room initially, and the psych ward portion of the hospital is within the same building. So I'm against the whole institution of a hospital.
Yeah, you echo what not a small number of guests have shared, particularly with psych units or mental health facilities. Yeah,
and also on that note, because they also financially took advantage of me because I wanted to go home when they released me from the emergency room, and they put me in the psych ward overnight. So then my insurance, it was a thing because they didn't cover all of it. So then I had like a pretty nice out-of-pocket expense. And I'm like, number one, I didn't even want to be there. Number two, you treated me like shit, and now you're charging me for it. Look, it was so insulting.
It's so insane because I've thought about this a lot. I've asked some guests and other people about this. And I know people will say, well, what do you expect if someone needs hospitalization? It's like, no, I get it. There are people that definitely need that or some form of it, but it doesn't justify the way many of them are run and how they treat people at all. But what's interesting is I thought, and I still think about this, it is in every way you can define a racket. Because you're taken often against your will. There's often a lack of transparency.
Yes.
You're getting billed way more than you would for a really, really nice hotel.
Yes. I think my psych ward overnight portion, just that portion, was like $4,000.
Yeah, it's insane.
I could stay at the Ritz for probably $2,000.
And so I thought about this. I said, in what other, let's call it like institution, organization, situation, does that apply in our entire society? And there's only two that people came up with, but they're really different. Where something happens and you have no choice and you're billed for it. The only other two there might be others. The only two I could think of is if you get hurt and you're taken in an ambulance, you could get billed for that.
Yes.
Okay, so you have no choice. But often,
But do you?
I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate. Someone told me that. I've never, fortunately, been in
wouldn't
an
be
ambulance.
surprised if you didn't have a choice, but I'm just curious.
So let's say you don't have a choice, but let's say you're dying and they have to, whatever, or you're in just pain and you want the pain to go away, and that's how they transport you. You could get a bill. Someone also told me something related to fire services. So if your home's on fire, you might get a bill. I don't know if that's true, or it might vary from place to place.
That was a public service.
It might be.
Talk about kicking you while you're down. Your house is on fire, and then you get a bill.
but at least they're putting a fire out that will destroy your house, let's say.
Yeah.
So you could argue whether you think it's okay that they charge you or not. Again, I'm not saying this is the case in all places. I don't know. That okay, there's some value there, right? But what other situation? It's just astounding.
Also,
it's just astounding.
In my experience, there was no value in the psych ward.
Right.
I would have been better off just sitting in my own bed, feeling miserable.
Right. And I say, if these hospitals, and there's always going to be a bad actor or two in anything, but if these hospitals by and large were really helping people, I might be okay with some of the things in terms of like, you don't have a choice. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm actually kind of against that in general, but it is also, and look, and the thing that's hard for people, should they hear this, I get it why they'd be like, they would feel like I'm being dramatic or reacting in a weird way. It's like, no, but you don't understand. Sorry if that sounds harsh. Not you, Angie.
Yeah.
Is that where are you going to hear people talking about a negative experience in a hospital? The hospitals aren't going to be saying in their advertising or promoting. right. So you're not going to hear it. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be the occasional random video on social media where someone's talking about a bad experience in hospital, but by and large, you're not hearing this. But it's very, very common.
They're helping people.
Right. And so, and it's like, I've had conversations with people for me where I'm like, I'm telling you, this is the wrong place. And it's this kind of like, oh, well, it's the best we got. It's like, hang on one second. That's an absurd, like, you cannot possibly just shrug your shoulders. Oh, well, it's the best we got. Is it? Well, there's one caveat to that. Is if you're very wealthy, you have incredibly good insurance, there are places that are way better where you get your own room. Go figure.
Yeah.
Where you actually get, I had a friend of mine who her insurance covered a good portion of like a 1 month stay. I don't know if it wasn't a hospital, but it was like a facility treatment center. And it was like hardcore. Like, you didn't have this at your hospital, I'm sure, where they were like 8 hours a day doing group work, doing individual work, doing something really, really intense. And you could say, okay, I can see why, like,
I didn't even receive medical assistance. Like, keep in mind, I was still, because I overdosed on an entire bottle of, I think it's pronounced clonazepam.
Mm-hmm.
I was still extremely high. I couldn't even walk unassisted or go to the bathroom unassisted. I received no medical attention. I didn't have an IV. I didn't have anything.
Right. Well, I mean, so I want to share with you so even a place like that, which was very expensive, right?
Yeah.
In her case, I don't know the percentage insurance covered, but she's fortunate to have insurance. Not everybody does, or their insurance, like me, sucks.
Yeah.
Even in a place like that, right? Like, this is how, to me, how the model, the way we think about it is so perverse. Even in a place like that, you're sharing a room. I just think that's very strange.
I do too.
Like, what? So, right. And something else she told me that was astounding. There are co-ed showers.
Ooh. That's weird too.
And a percentage of these people, and I know this because she shared some of her experience, are there in part, and this probably won't come as a surprise, because of sexual trauma.
Oh, that's so weird.
So
It's weird to begin
this
with,
is
but that
one
makes
of
it
the
weirder.
better places in the country. There was somebody there from the East Coast that went there. This is a well-known place, and I'm sure they're doing very good work. But the point is, even in one of the better places in the entire country, you don't get your own room. Oh, why would people get their own room? Why wouldn't? It
Right.
is thousands of dollars a day, I think, if not near that. Why
Even I got
wouldn't
my own
you get
room at the
your
shitty
own
hospital.
why wouldn't you get your own room? Why would you be in a I'm not I don't just to be clear, when I say co-ed, I don't think not everyone's like naked in front of each other, but it's one big space. Obviously, you have a private space to take a shower, but there could be men in there or women
Yeah.
like the opposite sex. What?
That feels weird without sexual trauma, though.
I was and but this the point is this is what's considered a really really good place. So let's talk about the places that you go that are shorter term, or maybe for some people longer term, like you've experienced and I experienced, where you might see a doctor once every 3 days for 20 minutes. You're asked to go to group sessions where you're treated like a 3-year-old and you're doing coloring. And if you don't do that, you're being belligerent. You're going to have to stay there longer and get billed more. You're
Yeah.
around people that I was in a room with some, I'm only saying this about my experience because I know it's very common
Yeah.
and nobody hears this shit. Now, I was in a room with a guy that was a recovering heroin addict and he was hallucinating. That's not a safe place for me to feel comfortable and get good rest, which is an important part of our mental health.
Yeah.
So, and you're billing me, I don't know, at least $1,000, $2,000 a day.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this on our first interview, but I spent the night in the psych ward, and then the next morning, there were 2 doctors that did their rounds to assess people to see if they could be released or whatever. And so I was having my interview, but again, I'm high as shit. I'm emotional because I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course I was like acting belligerent, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the doctors was like, he's like, well, because I was like, I just want to go home. And I was crying. And he was like, well, you don't seem like you're in a good emotional state to go home. And as if on cue, the truly crazy people in the background were like yelling obscenities and doing all these crazy things. And I was like, in all fairness, this isn't safe for my emotional state. And he like didn't respond because he had to know that that was actually, even in my, belligerent emotional state, that was like a very logical thing for me to say.
Yeah. I have had 2 hospital stays. The more recent one was several years ago at UNC Psych Center, and I referenced that a little bit in just the description I had. The first one was about 10 years earlier, and I am telling you, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I needed to go somewhere. That was not the right place. But again, it's like, well, there are
You
no
don't
places to
know.
go. You
Yeah.
don't know. So I go there, and I kid you not, I walked into that place, and it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was a couple of people I ultimately met and knew that were kind of like me, like this is the wrong place, but we're stuck here for a few days type thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I'm glad that they were there to get the help they need if they were getting the help, but they were drooling. They were
Yeah.
completely, I don't know if it was the medication or something else, essentially
There's
non-functional.
there's truly crazy people in there.
Yeah, and I don't mean crazy in a pejorative sense, at least the way I'm using it. Just probably not fit for everyday life outside of an institution of
Yeah.
some kind. Okay, that wasn't me. I just had a lot of anxiety. It is the wrong place, like completely.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then they have, and then I want to get into your story, but I just want to say one other thing: the idea that it's a weekend. It's the weekends and we're not working. You just have to wait. It's like, wait. So you guys are essentially off the clock on weekends, and I'm stuck here paying a lot of money and getting no care. Again, what a great racket. I would never
Yeah.
do it because it's so unethical and irresponsible and damaging. But boy, oh boy, what a fucking gold mine to just take
Yeah.
people. Oh my God. What? All right, Angie. Angie, in Hawaii, when we talked in 2022, we had a long conversation and ultimately it became an episode on the podcast. Didn't know then I would be more than 300 conversations in and going on a tour soon, but it worked out. Okay. What was going on in your life when we talked that you wanted to talk, that you found a podcast with the word suicide in it? There aren't many like that. You heard me, obviously, I assume, and you're like, all right, I'll give this guy a shot. I'll share what was happening. Kind of, I guess what I'm asking you is give me a summary as best you can, short summary if possible, of like what led you to that spot. So that might include how many suicide attempts or hospital stays. What was up with your life when we talked a couple years ago?
So there's actually two different trajectories on how
Sure.
I ended up in that conversation. One was the aftermath of my attempt in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I was Googling what is the word? Suicide survivors.
Yeah.
And if you Google that word,
Oh, yeah.
that refers to people who have attempted and succeeded, and survivors is referring to the family and
Yeah.
friends of those people who are
Lost,
grieving.
lost
Yes.
survivors.
So I was like, wait a minute, where are the people like me?
Yep.
And you cannot find
Hard.
information on suicide attempt survivors. It is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I found your podcast. But then and initially I don't think I took any action other than listen to it. But then I wrote a book and published a book. It was published in 2022. It's called Running in Slippers. It covers a train wreck period of my life that leads up to my attempt. It covers my attempt and some of the aftermath. And I was doing podcasts to promote it. And that's when I actually reached out to you. And
Uh-huh.
the conversation with you, though, wasn't really to promote the book. I was just more of in a space where I was open to talking about it. But it was like, let's talk about this because nobody's talking about the suicide attempt survivors.
Yeah.
And also, if you could find something, it's very filtered and edited because it's a very censored and taboo
Yep.
topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew from listening to your show that I was like, he's willing to talk about anything, and you were, which I loved. So that was like two different trajectories that led me to
Yeah.
you.
When I decided to do this, it was I made it. I had ideas to do this kind of podcast, but I didn't start right away. So it might have been a year of just thinking about it and whatever.
Yeah, that's how my book was.
Yeah. And I remember I had the format down. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew why I wanted to do it. But you do a little research, and I did the same thing naturally, right? So I went on and was like, let me Google, let me go on podcast, and let me see what's out there. And I was like, wow, there's nothing dedicated only to survivors. I found a handful of resources, mostly podcasts where they were, we'll talk about suicide once in a while. It's an attempt survivor, once in a while it's a doctor, once in a while it's a lost survivor. But I did say, and hey, I guess I'm patting myself on the back a little bit here, but I thought the conversations I'm hearing, those with attempt survivors, are shit. They are, like you said, filtered. They treat somebody like a child. They're condescending. They're weird. Like I was just like, this is bullshit, man. And I feel that way today mostly.
Same.
I found a few other places where I'm like, all right, I think they're doing some good work. But anyway, I'm glad we found each other then. You have one attempt?
Yes.
And that was in 2020.
Yes.
How did you try? Did pills?
I took an entire bottle. I think it was 32 pills of clonazepam.
Benzo.
It was my anxiety medication, and it's basically a nervous system suppressant. So just to give you an idea of how strong these pills are, I would normally take a half of a pill before I went to bed, and that would knock me out cold for 8 hours. And I took 32 entire pills.
So you wanted to die?
Oh, absolutely. That was my goal.
Let me ask you a tough question, but I think it might be answerable because you've spent a lot of time, when you're writing a book, you spend time thinking about this stuff. kind of a question I'm not supposed to ask, but that hasn't stopped me in a long
Yeah.
time now. Why did you want to die?
I had it's such a long answer, and I'll try to
Yeah,
answer it as
I
short as
know.
possible. I mean, it started in my childhood. My parents were emotionally unavailable, so among other things, from a very young age, I developed this belief that I didn't deserve to be loved. So that belief, of course, dictated my behavior. So I went through life drawing in all these experiences, and I was a perfectionist, I was a people pleaser, and all of those things require, first of all, trap masking your true identity. I never felt like I could truly be myself. It's also giving a lot of time and energy to things outside of yourself, which is super exhausting. So I just spent like a lot of my life just feeling honestly totally unhappy and unfulfilled, but
Yeah.
I didn't really know another way to live. But then what really led up to my attempt is in 2017, my boyfriend broke up with me and my dad passed away. And I was 37 and I had spent 37 years not feeling my feelings, like intentionally suppressing my feelings. I was actually forced to face my feelings and I couldn't handle it. And it led to all these misguided attempts to like want to feel better, but again it was like reaching for things outside of myself. And so I would get involved with like bad relationships, and not even just romantic relationships, but like friendships. And
Right. Right.
so it was just like this 2.5 year period of nothing going right.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hit my rock bottom, it was the end of a relationship, and that in isolation wouldn't have been anything to try to kill myself over, but it was that. And also, this was during COVID. So there were
Mm-hmm.
all these other dynamics in play of just feeling isolated and all the anxiety. But I just got to this moment where I was like, nothing has gone well in my entire life. And I just had this sheer hopelessness of nothing will ever get better. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what is the point? What is the
Yeah.
point of being alive?
Right. Right. You took the Klonopin, you went to the hospital. We heard a little bit about that experience.
Yeah.
I know at some point, I know I'm kind of like really summarizing here, but I know
Yeah.
at some point after that, you get out of the hospital, you move to Hawaii.
No, so I was in Hawaii.
Oh, okay, okay. My fault. My
And
fault.
that's kind of what contributed to the whole downfall, because I moved here thinking like, "Oh, now I'm gonna be
Oh, yeah.
happy."
Mm-hmm.
But then moving here came with a whole new, first of all, you can't move away from your problems. I'm just gonna put that out there
For
because I think
sure.
some people think that's the solution. Spoiler alert, it is not the solution.
Right,
So
right.
not only did I have the same problems, but I had a whole new set of problems because the culture is totally different here. I had trouble making friends. This was in 2018. I kept my job and was able to work remotely, but that came with its own set of struggles at a time when working remote was not the trendy thing to do. Also, there was a huge management shakeup at my job, which threatened my role. So the first year that I lived here, I was terrified that I was going to lose my job. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another huge point of security. So I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid of losing my job. I didn't have any friends. Oh, and then when I moved here, I bought a condo immediately to prove how committed and all in I was. And then a month after I bought my condo, which was only 2 months after living here, a shared pipe backflowed into my bathroom and I wasn't home, and my entire condo flooded. And that was just
Right.
the beginning. It was just,
Right.
and after that, it was like thing after thing after thing
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And in all fairness, even if I was a happy and fulfilled person, it was kind of a lot. And you can only take so much as a human being.
Yeah.
So, all of that stuff on top of the fact that I was internally falling apart inside was just not a good combination.
Yeah. Hmm. I want to ask you about your life since we talked, but before I do that, I want to ask you a couple of other things about your experience or thereafter talking with me.
Okay.
Um, I'm curious if you ever listened to our episode.
I don't think I did.
I don't think I would either. I've been on a podcast and I don't listen back. Well, I mean, it's your life and you said what you said, so why listen?
Yeah,
Unless
but
you're like really
also,
curious about editing and how I edited it, right? Who cares?
yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't even like check that. But also, like, I just remember it like brought up a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
So
All
Yeah,
right.
I don't think I did re-listen to it.
So I assume if you didn't listen to it, you probably didn't also let anyone in your life know, hey, check out this thing I did and share the link.
Actually, I think I did share it on
Oh, really?
Instagram.
Did anybody say anything, whether it was in the comments or message you privately or reach out?
Only one person said something to me, which honestly, I'm not surprised because it is such a uncomfortable subject for a lot of people, which is why I love
Mm,
what you do because let's just make it a normal topic because so many people struggle with
yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
it should be something that you can freely talk about with other people. But
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I only remember one person saying something. And
Mhm.
even in the comments or the likes, I don't remember it being as engaged as other things that I've posted.
Hmm. Go figure.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Let's normalize the conversations. Like, all right, let me hear this conversation you're having to normalize it. That's not normalizing it. Like, not you, like others. It's like, okay, you
No.
can say you're doing that, but you're being weird and you're freaking out and you're not. I mean, okay, we can. I don't. One of the questions I'm always curious about or thinking about is like, do people have negative experiences at all after speaking with me? Did it trigger something? But I also realize in asking that, probably if they did, they wouldn't have agreed to come back and talk with me for an update episode. So it's like
Yeah.
the people that come back are probably okay with what happened in me. And I hope that isn't the case, but it's possible.
No, honestly, I think it was healing because even though it was several years after my attempt, that was the first time I could open and freely talk about it. Because I remember too, there were a point, and I don't know if these got edited out, but we got pretty deep and dark in some points. And this might sound weird, but it was really refreshing to me just to talk to another human being so freely about stuff like
Right.
that. Because most people, if you say some of the things we were talking about, they would be like, "Are you
Oh,
okay?" Or like,
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure I left that in. I mean, that's
I
like
hope so.
for the most part, the conversations are so we can get to that point. So that's like the stuff I absolutely leave in, you know? I mean, yeah, because I want people to hear it. I
Yeah,
want people to hear people talking about it in the way that we talked about it.
because life is dark. Like, so
Yeah.
why not talk about it?
Life can be very dark. I say this all the time and I'll keep saying it. For me, life can be dark, but what is way darker for me is going through that and feeling like no one will have gives a shit. That
Yes.
is where people try to end their lives. Yes, people do end their lives for all kinds of reasons. But when you're going through hard things, as we all do, and you feel like nobody can, no, but well, no, 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 I was there for this person. Were you? I'm sure you meant
Yeah.
well, but did you do it in a way that they felt heard, legitimately heard and accepted, and maybe not understood because that's truly a personal thing, but nonetheless, the effort was there.
Yeah.
Mm, I don't know. It's hard to
And that's
find.
why I find your community in general so healing because it's such a safe space to just say anything, really.
Yeah. And I mean, not to bash myself, but I'm not, I'm I hop on Zoom or we're on Riverside now and it's another platform. And I'm in the suicide noted host mode. I'm not saying I'm so wonderful all the time in my personal life. I try, but it's hard. Especially like
Yeah.
we're not strangers, but we don't know each other very well. It's easier often with someone like me as opposed to your friend where you have a history and it's
Yeah.
charged. I get it. I'm not suggesting that this stuff is easy, but I get to be in this sort of unique role,
Yeah. Well,
you
I
know?
guess at least with you, like I get if I even texted you personally, like, hey, I'm struggling, I would at least know that you understood, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Whereas, like, some of my friends, I wouldn't feel as comfortable because it's like, I don't think they would understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't do for sure some of the things that are commonly done that I think create more problems.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also know that I don't have the answers. All I know is that I do what I do and I think it can be helpful. But that's it. Like it's not a
But does it,
panacea here. It's just
but
like
does it
I
have
think
to be more complicated than that?
no, no. But if I approached it with at all costs, I have to make sure that Angie stays alive, I would probably enter that conversation differently.
And
I
I
am
think that's where like
accepting
the
that you have
anxiety and
I
yeah.
am accepting of all my guests that ultimately you have agency over your life. And I think that's a much better starting point, because if we start elsewhere, the conversation is different and you know it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the key though,
Yeah.
because if you truly don't want someone to follow through, I think you just need to accept their agency. It's so hard to explain. Like I'm
It's
trying to put
so
it into
hard to
words
explain because
for
people will
people
say,
who are
"So
listening who don't
yeah,
understand, but
if you don't
I don't know
understand
how.
it, if you don't understand it," and I know that sounds a little patronizing, I don't mean it that way. If you don't understand it, you'll say, "Wait a second, so you're saying that you're talking to somebody that's thinking about ending their lives, and what are you, just, like, letting them do it?" I'm like, "No, no, what I'm doing is creating a space for them to talk about it, which might help."
And
If
I think
somebody's
it
going through a
does.
major intense crisis and they have a gun in their hand, right? I've actually never been in that situation. I think I would actually approach it somewhat similarly, because what are your options? You can force somebody to stay alive, and they might ultimately need that and sort of say thank you later.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know where I fit in that because I've never been in that situation as far as I know, right? Um, I understand that some people are struggling. Let's say that let's say I'm just using a somewhat random example here. Someone's having an I'm going to probably butcher this, a schizoaffective thing, and they're just in a totally different space. And if they ended their lives and we could magically know that they would, if we could talk to them in the afterlife, they would have regretted it. I don't want to do anything. I want them to stay alive,
Yeah.
but I also know I can't do everything. And I want to be able to. Yeah, that's a bad example. So, because I
Well,
would
but
say I'd
maybe
want to
that's
talk to them, and maybe they're not in the space to talk. I've never been in that situation. There might be times, admittedly, where what you need to do is like tackle the person and make sure they don't do something to harm themselves. But that's not a common thing. People are
yeah,
most
that's
like
true.
99 point whatever percent of these conversations. That's not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with somebody who's struggling and probably doesn't have many, if anyone, to talk to. Are you going
Yeah.
to be somebody that they can talk to? And if you think that that's just a means to an end, it might be, and not meaning death and meaning to like getting better, but it is not only a means, it is the end itself. Sometimes that act alone can keep people alive.
And I think I'm hearing you talk, I think I'm better able to put it in the words. I think it's just accepting where they are.
Yeah,
There's so much compassion and understanding in that simple act. Whereas when you approach it from a space of, if they're wanting to kill themselves and you're like, no, don't do that, then that's like so resistant and conflicting and almost
100%.
telling them like what you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. And that just adds to their internal conflict.
Almost all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight, simple as that. And so, without getting on the whole prevention model, which I do think we were talking a little bit before we hit record, how this is in a way of, I think, a sort of kind of prevention, or maybe you could call it secondary prevention. But when you immediately kick in with imminent risk questions and call 988 and go to the hospital, what you're basically saying is, I do not accept where you are.
Yeah.
You're not saying I don't want you to do those things if they might help. You're not saying, I wouldn't say that, and people might, but what, right? I'm also accepting this is a really tough spot, and I don't know how it's, it is hard to find the words.
But I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Since we talked, no more attempts. You only had the one.
Correct.
Do you, and this is almost 3 years now, do you ideate?
I don't even know what the definition of that anymore is, because I used to think of it as, I'm thinking about this plan and yes, I would actually follow through.
Hmm.
I have thought, if I did it again, how would I do it? Like, I'm not going to lie, I've been on hikes and I've seen cliffs, and I've thought to myself, well, if I ever did attempt again, this might be a good spot. I have, and again, those are dark thoughts, but I don't think I'm the only one who thinks them, whether you have attempted suicide or not. So I've had thoughts like that, but nothing to the extent of I would actually follow through on this. It's just kind of like, this is where my mind is going right now. Which I think ideation is like, I would actually follow through if shit started going down.
I'm not sure the exact definition, but I think what you're sharing is more like active ideating, whereas we could say it sounds like you sometimes still passively ideate.
Yeah, I like that definition.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to read something to you. Someone's watching, and they said and the magic of this platform, they can send in. They must have put something in YouTube. It comes to me. So can I read it?
Yes.
I don't know if you have access to it, but I'm going to read it. It's from Wild. It's from Wild. It says,
I like Wild.
I like Wild. Thanks, Wild. It said, we're live streaming. We're like reading a chat live. We're old. But I'm old. I don't know if you're old. I feel like I'm trying to be young, and I'm like, not. And I'm like, fuck it. Right. I don't know exactly when Wild wrote this, but he or she or they wrote, so very relatable. It was about the hospitals. Hospitals in Boston are downright dangerous. I'm not exaggerating. I feel the same about hospitals as well. I think Western medicine is going to do me in the end. They're literally psychologically torturing people in hospitals, putting trauma victims and survivors on violent units with violent, aggressive, sexually harassive men. It's unreal and disgusting. I'm reading verbatim here. Harvard training hospitals are some of the worst. Private hospitals are flat out unethical. What I've seen is beyond the pale. I like that expression, beyond the pale, including seeing people on the spectrum of vulnerable, violently attacked. Shadow banning happens with these huge industries, getting away with abuse and neglect all day, every day. By the way, all of my social media accounts are being shadow banned. That sounds conspiratorial. It's not.
No, it's not. It's real.
I think during live shows, it would be nice to interact with the audience in chat. Yes, Wild, I hope you're still here. Let's interact. Me and Angie want to interact. Yes, this is new. We love it. I was just writing about this in the chat. McLean is a mess too, honestly. I think, wow, okay. Hey, Wild, you know what, man? Message me. I want you on. I don't know if you're a suicide survivor or not, but if you message me, hello@suicidenoted.com is an email. Let's have you on a live to talk about this stuff. I want to continue reading. I'm almost done, but just to honor what McLean wrote and get it out there into the world. Don't shadow ban this YouTube. Speaking of McLean, Wild writes, it's like they kidnap you, put you under duress, coerce or force drugging until you're dizzy, and then they expect you to stay calm while being harassed, objectified, threatened, and intimidated. We are mental health commodities in these places, not equal humans. We are the product. But and I will tell you, even though the people that are watching this might be a bit of a self-selected audience who kind of already, quote, get it, they will, if other people see this, they will sound, oh, this
it
person
sounds extreme,
is just,
but it's true.
It sounds so extreme. And this is a one-off. I am telling you,
it's not
it is not at all a one-off. I don't need to say this to try to get more likes or clicks. I really
and I'm
don't
on
give
Sean's
a shit.
group chat, so I can confirm this is definitely a shared
telling you, this is not uncommon at all. And even if you say, well, it might be not uncommon, but it's not super common. I don't have the numbers because that data will be impossible to ever get. It is pretty common. Wild then ends, Running with Slippers by Angie Hawkins. Adding the link to the book in the show notes would be great. Okay, we got to get the link out there. The book is actually running in slippers.
Yeah, it's running in
with
slippers.
Oops, I'm still here, says Wild. I just started making some curry chicken salad. I will definitely email you again, Sean. I appreciate you both so much. Okay, you got me with the curry chicken salad. You got me with the curry chicken salad. I'm 47. I've witnessed this over and over for 20 years. If you keep chatting here, I will keep reading it because it'll give us even more to talk about, me and Angie. Wow. How fun is it that people are watching this? And
I love this. Yeah.
Me too. We're going to do more lives. I want to do more lives. What?
I also love that it resonates.
Of course. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And hey, if you totally disagree.
I actually don't love that it resonates. But
if somebody disagrees with us, right, I'll read that too. I don't need everybody to agree with me. That's at all. I mean, it's just an opportunity to continue the discussion. since we talked, and I know we're going back a little bit, have your ideas or views on suicide or suicidality, whether it is your own experience with it or sort of a more general feelings about that stuff, have they shifted at all in the last almost 3 years?
I don't remember what my views were then. They're probably the same, but I definitely have different views than I had before. One, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions about suicide is that it's selfish, and I hate that so much. And again, it's so hard to convey to someone who hasn't been in the situation, but the way I try to describe it is if your leg got chopped off and you were bleeding out from your leg, you wouldn't be thinking like, "Oh, I don't want to hurt my family by dying." You're
Mhm,
focused on the pain on your leg, and it's your emotional pain is that strong that it's
mhm.
the exact same situation.
People will not understand that.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if there's any way to bridge that gap. I've come to the
I don't
point where I
know.
think you kind of either get it or you don't. And we can be poets and find the perfect words, and they're not. I don't know. I'm not a suicide attempt survivor. I've never tried to kill myself. So I was going to say, unless you've been there, you don't get it. Well, I
Yeah.
don't. But
Well,
it
and
doesn't mean I can't be empathetic and
well, on
say,
the note,
I don't understand this, but that doesn't mean it's not real or true. And I want to hear what you're saying. I don't want to keep getting back to how my conversation skills, whatever, but like I've never been pregnant and I don't think I ever will be, right? But that doesn't
yeah.
mean I can't hear someone's pain and say, God damn, that must be fucking hard.
Yeah, maybe it's just the empathy. But on the topic of censorship, I remember one time I saw a post, probably on Instagram, about suicide, but the post was like, "Oh, it's selfish,
Yeah.
blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And of course, there were thousands of comments. 99.9% of the comments supported the post. But I remember there was this girl, her comment was that her sister had committed suicide, and she said, "I'm so glad she did because she was so miserable and her
Mhm.
quality of life was shit." And I liked it and commented to that, and I saved the post, but when I went back to the post because I wanted to take a screenshot,
Gone.
that comment was gone.
Gone.
And it's like, but I loved it because it's like she gets it. Her Because if you're in a vegetative state, your family and friends pull the plug, right?
Mhm.
So she was basically saying the exact same thing because she knew her sister's quality of life was such
Yeah.
bullshit.
I mean, look, if you don't get it, and I'm not here to talk on behalf of anybody other than myself. I lost my best friend to suicide for what it's
Yeah.
worth.
And I think that's why you are compassionate about it
Mm.
too.
I'm sure it plays a role.
Yeah.
What you could take the angle, and I'm not suggesting how you should think or feel at all, and my words won't make a difference. You are you. I am me. Angie is Angie. Uh, there's one way to reframe it, though. You could say it's selfish. They weren't thinking about the impact it would have, and it does. Let's not pretend have an impact on people.
Yeah.
But another way you could reframe that is to say that is how much pain they were in because they probably did understand the impact it could have.
Yeah.
But that is how much pain they were in. Just let that resonate for a second. Let that marinate a little bit.
And
That
that's
is
why
how
I'll
much
use
pain.
like
Let's assume they have a pretty good understanding. And by the way, let's assume they have thought about that. Most people think about this stuff. Yeah, there are impulsive attempts. Most of them are actually not that impulsive because it might seem impulsive. They just drove their car off the side of a cliff. They've probably been thinking about this for some time. And I'm
yeah.
pretty sure most people in that thinking are also thinking about their spouse, their kid, their parents, their friends, their coworkers, people at their church. They are. I don't know this for sure. I'm just going by the conversations I've had. Come on, man. Give people a little
Yeah.
credit and just say, hey, that's the pain. That's the pain. You haven't been in it, maybe. Okay, but like that's the pain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tricky.
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen White Lotus?
I don't think so.
I only just watched season 3 because I was in this murder mystery dinner party and I was playing one of the characters. So I was like, I guess I better watch it. But
Okay.
anyway, in season 3, there's a storyline. And this is a spoiler alert for anyone who's watching this and has not seen it.
Yeah,
But
right.
but one of the families, the dad, they're in Thailand on vacation, but back home he was involved in a financial scandal. It's all going downhill. So he's thinking, I need to kill myself because that's how bad it is. However, he actually thinks about his family and he goes through each family member one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person who would not be affected by the financial loss is one of his sons. So he actually plans to kill the other people except the one son. And it was such an interesting, and only someone who's attempted suicide would be thinking this, but I'm like, that was actually so well thought out by whoever wrote this, because he's actually, in my opinion, not being selfish, because he was like, this would hurt my wife so much that I'm going to kill her too, so that she's not in
Whoa,
the
we're
pain.
getting into some heavy shit here,
And I
Angie.
know that's like dark and twisted, but it was like the thought that the writer had put into that. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and no, I would still watch it. It's not really a spoiler alert. Did I ask you about the pink and purple pill back then? Was I asking that? Do you know?
Yeah, because I remember what that question is.
So, and if you, normally on update episodes, I say, if you don't know what this question is, listen to the original podcast episode so you know what it is. But because we're live and we're exploring this new thing, I will share with you all pink and purple pill. It's not real. The color doesn't matter. But what it does is if you choose to take it, you go to sleep, there's no pain, you die, and nobody knows it's a suicide. And I simply asked my guests, what would you do with that pill? Do you remember what you said back then?
I actually don't remember what I probably said, that I would accept it. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't have taken it immediately, but I would hold on to it just in case. And
most common answer.
And honestly, I'm in a much better place mental health wise than I was then, and my answer is still the same.
Interesting. Why not throw it out?
Because everyone's worried about like the government and the world going to shit. But in my mind, I'm like, if it really got that bad, I could just jump off a cliff, or, like that's where my mind goes. So if I had the pink and purple pill and the world was going to shit, I wouldn't build a bunker or whatever. I would just take the pill.
Yeah. And it's just, at least you don't have to deal with the aftermath of maybe surviving an attempt and being a quadriplegic.
See, and that's the other thing, because once you survive, you're like, oh shit, like I wouldn't want to, I live on the 20th floor, but I'm like, I think there's a chance you could survive, and then my life would be even worse because I can't walk and who knows what kind of brain damage I would have. And
right. So one of the cases for sort of a death with dignity type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But I get it. That's controversial. I also ask people memoir titles. I don't need to do that with you. We don't need to create a memoir title because you have Running in Slippers.
Yes.
So the question, obviously, if your memoir is Running in Slippers, is how often do you run in slippers?
I personally do not.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Is this a metaphor?
Yeah. Yes. Well,
okay.
Let me explain. And I don't know if I explained this to you before. So I live in Hawaii. Flip-flops are called slippers. So it really means running in flip-flops.
Okay.
There is a reason why I named it that, and that is explained in the introduction of the book. But it's also a metaphor for life, because if you run in flip-flops, that can be playful and adventurous and fun, but it can also be scary, painful, and dangerous if you fall.
It's just hard.
Which is like life, because life is hard and it can be fun and you can have these fun adventures, but you can also fall down and hurt yourself.
Okay, so but flip-flops isn't as, because it's slippers in Hawaii and you're living in Hawaii, but what do they call slippers in Hawaii?
You don't wear slippers because
wait a second. You think in the entire state of Hawaii, there's not some, I'm going to say woman, it could be a man, like at night getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, what do they put on their feet?
Nothing.
They do too. That's crazy. What are you saying? They don't allow slippers in Hawaii? Of course they do.
Well, okay, 2 things about that. First of all, it's a very barefoot, actually 3 things about that. It's a very barefoot culture here.
All right.
2, slippers are generally used to warm your feet. And like, we don't
Hawaii.
need that.
Right.
And then also, there's a large Filipino culture here. And in the Philippines, you leave all your footwear outside your front door. You don't even bring it in your house. So you would definitely not wear any kind of footwear indoors. It's possible there are people who wear slippers here.
Come on, they've got it, because you have transplants, right? So transplants are used to wearing slippers. So maybe they call flip-flops slippers and they call slippers slippers. And you understand what the person means by context.
Probably, because if you're inside, you're probably wearing house slippers. And if you're outside, you're wearing flip-flops. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't wear traditional slippers outside, I don't think. Unless you're running from like a burning building. You're home. Right. And you're like, I got enough time. I got to put the slippers on. All right. And then how many pair of flip-flop slippers do you have?
Oh, a lot, because that's all I wear now.
Mm-hmm. So
the better question is, how many non-flip-flops do I have?
Right. But like, what would people do if they like hate the way their feet look?
They hate what?
The way their feet look.
I mean, I have bunions. I don't necessarily love the way my feet look, but it's just so comfortable. Actually, a lot of people just go barefoot here. It's an island. There's definitely island culture.
I mean, there would be something worth exploring, being okay with your feet, regardless of how they are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I go to the mainland and I'm like shunned because of like what I'm wearing, or like people think I'm weird for wearing flip-flops, but I'm like, this is all I have.
Well, we were talking before we hit record, and it was based on a social media post I saw of yours, and I hope I got this right, where it's like at some point in your life, and I think more recently in the last number of years, not going back decades, you have these funky glasses that you're wearing, like right now. I like your glasses. And you were like, well, there was a point in my life, and it wasn't that I wouldn't have been confident wearing these glasses, but I guess, just at some point you were like, fuck it.
Well, I'm wondering was it a recent post?
Did I get that wrong?
Well, there definitely was a time where I feel like I've always had somewhat statement eyewear, not quite as bold. I did a post recently about how, because I was filming on my way to go surfing. So I had like this pasty surfer sunscreen. I had like oil in my hair. And I was like, there are so many past versions of me who never would have went out in public like this.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But that also applies to my glasses, because I also wear like the statement sunglasses. And like I was saying before, I have been criticized about my glasses, like, because they're too extra or too much. And it's like, who cares?
I know. For me, I got to a point with 2 things that are visual. And I think it might have been around the same time. And it sounds so unimportant, but it actually was important. When I was like 30 or 31, I shaved my head. And I did it on vacation because it's easier to do when you're not home. And I remember thinking, because I was starting to lose, I never liked my hair, and I was starting to lose some of it. And I happened to be in Central America. It was really hot.
Yeah.
I went to a barber and I was like, shave it. And I remember thinking, one of the reasons that I was so worried is, this is how silly humans are, at least Sean is.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I don't like my ears. And if I shave my head, my ears are going to stick out. And what matters about that is that people are going to make fun of me. And I wasn't 12.
Yeah.
I was 30.
No. I
remember getting back and loving that my head was shaved. And nobody said, maybe they thought it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
My ears are fine. I don't like them, but whatever. Either way, it wasn't the point. And I think, and everyone was like, they loved it. And I loved the fact that I had shaved my head, and I actually walked differently in the world.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that my head was shaved. It was that I stopped. I was going through a process of caring less about, it's not that I didn't care what people thought, but it just changed. And then around the same time, people always ask me, even today when I go out and play pickleball, they're like, what's up, sleeveless Sean? Even right here, I don't have sleeves. People are like, and it was never, just for what it's worth, I was self-conscious about it. It's not because I have the greatest arms in the world. I actually am very sensitive to material. And the sleeves bothered me. It had to be like the sleeves don't bother me if they're the exact right material. I do have some shirts that way. I started to cut
Yeah.
my sleeves in part because, or in large part because of that reason. And people would comment on it. I got to a point where I'm like, I don't care. Like, I just want to wear the shirt I want to wear. And it doesn't matter. And I just think that that's, in a way, empowering.
Yeah, well, taking this back to mental health, that is one reason why my mental health improved so much because I used to surround myself with people who, if I, was wearing something extra or made a decision or whatever, they would just like rain on my parade. They would be so unloving and unsupportive. And I found people, like I now am surrounded around people who are loving and supportive of anything I do, or if I wear statement glasses, if I make a certain decision or
Yeah.
whatever. And that has improved my mental health so much because it's like there are people who are positive and it helps you because trust me, like you will get the comments. Like I told you earlier, like people have criticized me for my glasses. But now when that happens, it's just like I kind of think to myself, like, how miserable does someone have to
Right.
be in their own life to
Mm.
make fun of my eyewear? Like, why do they
Yeah.
even care? You know what I mean?
Right.
If I don't like someone's glasses, I just don't care.
Right. Yeah. And even if you don't like mine, you lie and you say you do.
No, I do like yours.
You do. I don't like them. I don't like them. I was just
I
joking with
just would
Angie
have been
that
like,
like
yeah, those are nice.
these are like the random $1 or $2 reading glasses I got at the dollar store.
People
Um,
always say that though, and those are some of the like nicest frames, I think.
yeah. So running in slippers. By the way, we should just say it right now, and I'm going to start saying this more often. I hope I can speak on your behalf. I'm basing this on the conversation we were having again before I hit record. Um, Angie has a book, and that would be cool if you bought it. I don't have a book. If there's someone out there that wants to do some really cheap ghostwriting for me, give me a call. We could write a book. Also, I'm putting together some information that involves speaking. That would be a paid presentation. I think Angie has an interest in that too. So if you think what we're saying is interesting, individually or collectively, you can hire us. Reach out to me, and I will include
Yeah.
Angie in that email. And because I think people should be paid for the work that they do.
Yes.
And I think that speaking about this openly and honestly, and doing it in a way that you're putting your presentation together in a way like you're not just vomiting a bunch of stuff out. You've put some thought
Yeah,
into
because
it.
we're being kind of raw here, so it wouldn't
Yeah, of
be
course.
quite this
Yeah, I
style.
mean, whatever it actually look like, but I think that should be that people. This is a really valuable thing. I can't speak on behalf of those that hire people. It's up to them to decide. But people should get paid for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Right.
like I was saying earlier, it's just a conversation we should be having and normalizing.
Yeah, legitimately normalizing. What, if anything, Angie, other than running in slippers, helps you feel a little less shitty or a little less alone?
Honestly, having conversations like this,
Hmm. How often
but
do
yeah,
you have? Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of other podcasts and
I feel a little. It's not just me.
but in all fairness, some will I told you earlier, some will be like, don't say the S word. Like you can talk about your experience, don't say the S word,
Right.
don't say this, don't say that, don't say how you did it. Others are a little more open, but I feel like it's harder to have the conversation because they don't understand all the nuances. So yours is definitely my favorite for sure.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
pay her to say that. I promise.
because the other conversations I'm having are not, I don't feel like I can be as transparent as I want to. And
Yeah.
I feel like I would be going rogue on someone else's platform if I did.
Right. That's a tough spot to be. And they have a bit of an agenda, I would say,
Yeah.
probably ends up by saying certain things. Maybe it's not aligned. It's their podcast, just like it's, TikTok gets to decide what it wants to do, Instagram. So if they shadow ban people or if they punish you or ban you because you use the word suicide, it is up to them, but they're in a unique spot because they have so much reach and impact.
Yeah.
But what you're doing when you do that is you're silencing people. You are
Yeah.
silencing people even more that are already silenced. And so where do they go? And I'll tell you right now, and this might sound like a rather extreme thing, you keep silencing people, people are going to kill themselves.
I agree with that.
There's just no question. Well, show me data. It's really hard to collect data on people that are dead.
Yeah.
It's really hard to collect data on people that will not share with you what they're actually going through for all the fear that they're going to face once they open up. How are people won't talk about it? Why? For a lot of reasons, but one of them is you're not letting them.
Yep. So people become scared to do it.
And that becomes normalized. Their default is just to not talk about it. And I'll tell you something else. You create a space for somebody so that you're there to listen to them in a way that they rarely get. That is a fucking gift. That, I mean, because I'm speaking to anyone who's listening to this, and you probably already get it, I know, but just think about it in your own life, shit you're struggling with that you're not really quick to talk about, and you find somebody who's really open to listening to it. Remember that feeling, because that is hard to find, and it is like almost like someone's strangling you and you're just not. Literal, like think about the literal what it feels like to be like cutting off air. It's you can't, and all of a sudden it's like, no. You can breathe, you can talk, it's okay, really. You want to reduce suicides, reduce pain and suffering, do that. There's other things to do, but I don't do them because I don't create policy. I don't run a hospital. I'm not a doctor. Most of us aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anyone and everyone can do that, because it is to some degree a skill set, and it has to be learned because we don't teach it. So unless you're just naturally gifted at that, we're not going to be very good at it. You're not getting, you don't have the models for, you have to be very lucky, for example, to grow up in a community or be in a school or grow up in a family where that's being modeled well.
Yeah.
Where are you going to learn it? Where are you going to learn it? Especially with suicide. You might Google something like how to have a good conversation, how to create a safe space. But suicide's one of the few, maybe not the only thing, one of the few things that people just can't do it with. They get freaked out. They have these knee-jerk reactions. They go into fix-it mode. They go into, whether they realize it or not, a weird kind of space where they start judging, and they're like, I'm not judging. It's like, it feels like you are. And then it's not. And then I know I'm going on a rant here, but it's like,
no, but see, this
no,
makes
but
so
it's
much
you.
sense
You're being
to me,
very
though.
sensitive. It's like, I am probably being very sensitive because I've dealt with this for 25 fucking years and nobody listens. So yeah, I am probably a little bit sensitive about it. You're right.
I get
Right.
sensitive
But
to
don't
it
do the
too.
gaslighting thing where it's all on the person who's struggling because they're being sensitive. It might be you too. You might be not creating a space that you think you're creating.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Also,
you, probably not. And how you know most of the time? They're not talking. That's a very easy way to measure. Are they opening up to you or not? If they're not, I'm not blaming you, but you're probably part of the problem. If they're opening up to you, you're doing good fucking work. Just keep doing that. It's really not that complicated. I mean, we can prove it. Are they talking to you or not?
Yeah.
Or are they starting to say the shit that like they feel like they have to say? It's like, no, I'm doing all right. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, because then they're not going to be, if it's not a safe space, like if I'm truly thinking about harming myself and it's not a safe space, I would never admit that.
Exactly. Now,
if I were thinking about it right now, I would tell you. That's how safe this space is.
But one other point, and I know I'm blabbing a lot here, is if somebody does that, if someone in your life does that, and they're like somebody you don't want or need in your life, you'll probably stop talking to them, whatever it looks like. But keep this in mind for anybody who's potentially talking to someone in their life, like a child, or like let's say, or a spouse, where they're gonna stay in your life probably. What does that look like now? They don't want to share these things with you, but they're not in your life. What is that conversation going to look like? And you know what it looks like. It's them saying, no, honey, things are okay. I'm hanging in. I'm doing what I got to do. It is, and you just pay attention to that. It might be accurate. Probably it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I can say this without absolute, I can say this for sure. Most people, I have to qualify it. I can say most people are begging for that person to show up in their lives.
Yeah.
That's my TED Talk.
Well, and again,
hello, Ted. That's my TED Talk. I'm going to be ranting on a stage for 15 minutes.
Well, Don't get me started on well, first of all, let me say what I was going to say. That because again, I can testify to all this because I am on, I know I'm not like totally active on it, but your WhatsApp group chat,
Mm.
the things that people will admit to not feeling mentally well. But I guarantee there's other people in their life they don't feel comfortable admitting that to.
Yeah.
So that just proves when you're in a certain safe space, you feel comfortable saying, I'm not okay. I may
Mhm.
harm myself. Can we have a conversation?
Right. Yeah. And you don't need to just say, you know what, Angie, it's okay not to feel okay. I mean, you could say that. I hope, but you could actually listen. It's more than just a fucking platitude.
Yeah.
I was on a website recently. I don't remember the name of it, but it was one around mental health. I'm not going to say the name. It doesn't matter, but it's a common thing you hear. I don't know if the word is a platitude, or I don't know how you would describe this category of wording or expressions, but it's something you hear a lot. And I really thought about this because on the website, in big letters, it says, "You are not alone." And I know what they mean. What they mean is, I think, is there are resources available,
Yeah.
right? You can make a phone call to somebody who's, whether they're paid or volunteer, who's going to probably go from a script, right?
Yeah.
Or there are resources available that you probably already know about. Like you're aware of the idea that therapy is the thing in the world. And you either can't go or you're choosing not to go for very valid reasons,
Yeah.
often, not always. But I thought about these words, these expressions you hear that are very common. You'll see them all over social media, sometimes on the biggest organizations, mental health or suicide awareness or suicide prevention. And you'll see these all the time. And I know this because I see them because that's how algorithms work for example, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I thought about the fact, hold up, because I was reading You're Not Alone and I'm thinking about my own life. And I thought,
Yeah.
no, I'm totally fucking alone. Let's be honest about it. Like, I'm having a nice conversation with you. Okay, that feels good. I talk about less shitty, less alone. I do feel a little less alone when I'm talking to somebody, but we're going to get off the phone here or this call in a little bit.
Yeah.
In my own life, and I know there's a lot of people like me, and this is really, as we get older, depending on how your life has turned out, maybe you don't have a partner, your friends are far away, they're busy living their lives. It just depends on the person. But we also know that you can feel very lonely with people in your life that you live in the same
Yes.
household with. But I'm going to talk about me only because I know me, and I know there's a lot of people feel so fucking alone. And I'll tell you why. It's because they are. And when you write shit like that, I know you're probably coming from a good place with hopefully good intentions, but it doesn't land well. It doesn't sit
No,
well
especially
because
on
it
a
feels
website.
dishonest and simplified and weird and more just a reminder. And I know a website is a limited way to communicate. You're limited by words on a page. And, of course, it's not the same as a conversation. But for guys like me and people like me, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of them, that's a weird thing to hear because it just feels dishonest. And I feel that is so common in the mental health spaces. I call it bullshit. And I think there's a place for bullshit that some people are like, oh, yeah, that little mantra or that little platitude, that's little like, you're not, you're not alone. It's like, that might help. But there's a huge number of people where it's like, what? It just feels dishonest.
Well, also coming from like a large organization, it's just because it doesn't even feel like it's another person
Yeah.
writing that to you. It's like
Yeah.
all I see is like some communications executive typing this
Right. Yeah.
out
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
to
Right.
hand to
Right.
the website developer. And I'm like, that's just so weird.
And we're talking about people's health. And
Yeah.
another one is, and I've got a lot of examples of these. Let me just give you one more. And this comes up. This is the type of thing where there is value to it. I get this. I get it. But for so many people, it's just like, wow. They read it and they're like, what the fuck? And that is, quote, and you've seen this, just talk about it.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to because, hey, we're talking about it. I understand the intention. I think don't keep it to yourself. Find those people, find that therapist. But do we talk about, we have to also include in that when people, quote, just talk about it, and they're sent to a really dangerous hospital against their will, and sometimes publicly humiliated in their communities by being what looks like arrested with handcuffs and shoved into the back of a fucking cop car. Or more commonly, when they just talk about it to people in their lives and they get sometimes straight up shamed or silenced or judged. But even more commonly, it's not that, but the person is just not a good listener.
Yeah.
You know what happens there? Because people usually do try to talk about it. Check this out. They stop. And when people stop talking about it, you're right. That is dangerous. But there's a reason.
Yeah.
And it is not just
safe.
because they're crazy. I promise you, it's not. It's because the people around them aren't showing up. Period. So shut the fuck up. All right. Ooh, show the fuck up is a good one. Not shut the
I
fuck up.
actually like that. Yeah.
Show the fuck. I'm writing that down. I might have a new tagline. Show the fuck up. Thank you, Angie. Because if you didn't give me the space to rant,
See, that's the power of safe spaces, right?
Right. But what kind of conversationalist or interviewer am I where I do 80% of the talking? I didn't get that. I didn't get the right blueprint here. I'm not doing my job well, but we're experimenting with the live format so I can play.
Yeah, and people were commenting. So
let's see if anyone else commented here. I feel like this is kind of nice. Oh, we do have somebody else. This is incredible. We're gonna read. Now it's Matej. I hope I'm saying your name right. Matej. Matej. And there's a little thing over the E. So it might be like, I wonder where that's from. Matej, let me know where you're from. Matej wrote, this would have been about 10, 15 minutes ago. That's really interesting, actually. In a mental community, most of the guys cut their sleeves off, and it's just part of the style. Nothing weird about it. Thank you, Matej. Now tell me my bald head is great, too. Matej, thank you. I appreciate that. And Wild added, I agree. The more people are forced to suppress, the more damage is done. Yeah, man, no doubt about it. And the mental health community will say, we're not suppressing at all. It's like,
yeah, you are.
If you're lucky, you have a therapist that's willing to bend the rules a little bit and have those conversations. And because the system is the way it is, they're taking a risk.
Yeah.
Sometimes with their license and other things, but that's the space they're forced to be in. And some of them suck. Some of them are great. I know therapists that will go there. But most don't. I know people that will go there. Most don't.
It's probably what traditional therapy never worked for me. That's probably one of the reasons. Another reason was I felt like we would talk and then I would leave and it's like, okay, what do I do with this?
I know the 45-minute, where does that become the standard? 45 minutes a week. I need like 10 hours.
Right.
I do. You just got me started at 45 minutes.
I know. Well, I had a therapist. She would like, this is another reason I got disgruntled with traditional therapy. To your point, just to get it all out takes time, right? And we would only have one 1-hour session a week. And after like 2 months, she still wasn't giving me any actionable advice. And she was like, well, I need to hear more of your story. And I'm like, I could go on for months. I need help now.
It's tough, man. By the way, Wild says that we're doing great.
Yay.
The live is going well. Wild love it. Wild, I don't know your gender or how you identify. I'm just saying I'm saying people's names to be safe. Wow. So are you planning on staying in Hawaii indefinitely?
I don't know if this is my forever home. I'll be here for a while, though.
Okay. Do you think this is a good time for me to talk about the tour?
Yes.
So I'm not going to Hawaii because it's really far, but you might come to California.
Yes.
If you can, because a couple months back, I had this wild idea. Wild, are you listening? Wild idea. To take this on the road. Some podcasts do tours. Now, most of them, when they do a tour, I think what happens is they have such a large following that most of the people that go are just there like, oh, I want to meet this person I've been hearing the whole time, and just behind the scenes, and we get to ask. That is not me. I mean, there are people that listen, there might be a few that show up in whatever cities I'm going to. I'm going to talk about that in a second, where they're like, ooh, okay, this is the guy I've heard, maybe a little bit. But no, that's not what the tour was about. The tour, in part, was about I'm going to go to places where my guests are, ask them to help me create a tour. And some of them said yes, which is amazing. Get in my car. Hopefully, a Wild is she, her, but fluid. Thank you, Wild. Hopefully the car lasts. Hopefully my body lasts north of 50, if you know what I mean. Come on now. And go to these places where my guests, some of them, a select number that wanted to be involved, found a venue for me, are helping me promote it. We're going to go. I'm going to speak with them and maybe some other past guests in that area. And we're going to have conversations and continue having these conversations that are very hard to find with an audience who can then listen and hear and ask some questions and get involved. And yeah, I'm going to try to raise money for that, by the way, because I need money to do this kind of thing because it's expensive. But I'm doing it on the cheap. But right now, there's some things that still need to be worked out. But we will be going to, when I say we, it's me, but I'm meeting the people there, at least 15 different places, maybe up to 20. East Coast, Midwest, Rockies, West Coast. It's going to be at least a month. I hope to have a lot of conversations. I do hope to raise a lot of money because I want to tell you something, Angie, and this is a hard thing that it's hard for me to say. I think that I deserve it.
No, I think you do too.
Not to get rich. It's never about getting rich. But at some point, if you want to dedicate a lot or all of your time to do something that matters, you need to eat food. Now, unless, Angie, you want to be my benefactor, or there's a sugar mama out there, sorry, that wants
I quit my job 3 months ago, so that is not me.
Not good timing. Right. So, hey, I was joking about the sugar mama thing, but I would love, my life, just for what it's worth, like I don't have a partner. I'm not wealthy. Shit didn't work out, but maybe if it worked out that way, I wouldn't have started the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
But here I am. And I wanna try to raise money. And by the way, now I'm fiscally sponsored, which means if people donate, they can write it off on their taxes, which is an incentive, especially if I'm going for the deep pockets. But one of the things I've found is that it's really hard to find people who have deep pockets and big hearts. I don't know where you are. I don't know how to find you. It's hard.
I feel like they're connected to your audience somehow, though.
I've been trying, but I don't want to push too hard with that. Those of you that have contributed financially, I thank you very much for that. Whether it's $1 or a lot more, I really appreciate it. I just want a little bit more if possible, because you can't say this might be a little bit, this might sound like I'm a bit of a jerk, and I am sometimes. You can't say something really matters and then never support it.
Yeah.
You can say, like, I can say something matters, and if I don't have the money to support it, I mean, that's just how it is. And a lot of people don't. So I get it. But there are a lot of people that do. And I know that rich people out there, you probably got people contacting you every day wanting your money. I know. And I also understand if you want to donate to something around suicide, it makes sense to go to the places you're familiar with. So you're going to go to these big organizations, and some of them probably use the money very well. Some of them probably don't. But that's safe. You're contributing to something around suicide awareness or whatever it may be. I totally get it. And there's a good number of organizations out there, and some of them are very, very large, and they have a lot of reach, a lot of impact. So you're very familiar with them because part of what they do is making sure you're aware of them, right? So on social media and elsewhere. I'm a little guy, but I'm doing something I think is rather unique. I think from what Angie shared, she can attest to that.
I agree.
So we're just trying to find the right spaces where people want to contribute, but more importantly, continue having the conversations for a podcast, for a live stream, and now in October and perhaps into November, in real life, in person, which is going to be weird.
I think that's going to be even more impactful, though.
I don't know. I hope so.
Well, I don't know. Do you think because generally society has made these conversations unsafe, do you think people would be afraid to even show up?
Yes. I think that the people that choose to speak with me, and they'll probably be almost entirely my past guests, but it could be new people. I think some of them won't do it because they're afraid for understandable reasons. And that includes being shunned by their community, the people that know them.
Mm.
And here's the thing, and I'm going to be very, very clear about this in the materials beforehand and there in those spaces. I can't guarantee there's not a cop in that room.
Yeah.
Because that's the world we live in.
It
That you
is.
can't talk about it, and you hear people talking about it, and that person might say, I still think about it. I still plan. Now, I think it's very unlikely, very. But can I guarantee it? No, I cannot guarantee it. And so, yeah. And do I think people will be hesitant to go? By and large, I think the kind of people that would be attracted to this wouldn't not go for reasons like that in terms of the audience.
Yeah.
But sure. I mean, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
some of the spaces can hold 20 people, some can hold 200. And there might be a lot of empty seats. And I don't want there to be empty seats, but that's not the point.
But
If
even,
if you need to hear this and you feel like this is the kind of conversation I want to hear, if you can be there, we'll be there. And if you don't want to, nothing I say will make a difference. So it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's 5 people, that's 5 people you can make an impact on.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that I can reach more people on social media and on a podcast platform because that's the nature of technology. However, I think you make a good point in that in person is different.
Yeah.
You're hearing a real human. You can talk to them afterwards. You can hear them.
Because like Wild could show up and we could actually.
Wild. I don't know. Well, Matej. So Matej is from the Czech Republic.
Oh, cool.
By the way, Matej, he said I butchered his name, so that means I'm continuing to butcher his name. He says I can call him Matthew, which I will, but if you can, Matej, sorry for continuing to butcher your name. If you can phonetically put that in the chat, I will try to say your name correctly. And
I wonder if it's phonetically Matthew, though, and that's how they say
I don't think so. He says so
Okay.
they don't have to try pronouncing it. So
Okay.
By the way, Matthew, if you're a suicide attempt survivor or you're someone who's ideated, I've never had somebody from the Czech Republic join me. I want to talk to you for the podcast.
And you've had a lot of diversity in terms of regions.
I think we're at 45 or 46 states. There's a few states.
I was first Hawaii, but I think
you are the only Hawaii. There's some states where I've had one, like Hawaii, like Alaska. There's some states where I've had a lot, like California and Michigan.
Had a lot of countries.
And I think we're at like 24 countries. I want more. I just think it's kind of neat and kind of cool. And one of the things,
it just shows it's a human experience.
Yeah, it's everywhere. We're limited to English, so they'd have to speak some English to join me, but that's just the nature of I speak some Spanish, but not nearly good enough to have a conversation like this. And I want to share also that in addition to doing the speaking thing, as I try to branch out, so one of the things that I'm trying to do, and it will in part be contingent on getting some funding, I do want to reach out to some people in other countries. I do want to find people in countries where it's probably even more taboo to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And we are also trying to, and we have the help of AI, but it's not even close to being good enough, transcribing every single episode. And it's kind of thing I wish I had started earlier, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And not only transcribing them so people maybe who don't have Wi-Fi, but can at least read them. They can see the transcription. And this will also be aided by technology once it gets better and better. Take those transcriptions and translate them into multiple languages. So now people in other places who don't understand English can at least have some access to these conversations in Spanish or Hindi or Chinese or Czech. Wink, wink. Matthew.
Well, I'm sure you can get your volunteers in other countries.
I've tried.
Okay. Oh, you've tried and they're not interested?
I'm in the process of trying to get volunteers, but volunteers are volunteers.
Yeah.
And some of them are amazing. And some of them are very, very busy. And some of my guests are struggling with staying alive.
Yeah.
And that would not be the first thing they want to do. However, there are people that have told me that by helping out, it helps them. That's great.
And I truly think it does. Because even in the group chat, I can tell sometimes people are struggling. And it's like they might not be here if it weren't for that community.
Maybe. Right. And I
That's how I feel.
I don't know if she's watching, but I have one volunteer in particular who's my main volunteer right now, Ambient, who's a past guest. She does not like recognition, but once in a while I want to publicly recognize her because without her help, I'd have no social media presence, even though I'm getting fucking shadow banned. I would have organizational nightmares and the tour probably wouldn't be happening. So a
Oh,
huge
really?
shout out to
Oh, yeah,
Ambient,
that's
who
amazing.
works full time, who struggles in her own life, but is probably dedicating I don't know how many hours a week to helping me.
But you're probably giving her a sense of purpose, because I remember when I was at my lowest point and coming out of that, and that's how the book, like, I had the idea for the book, but how I really became committed to writing and publishing it is because I just needed a purpose, and that was the only thing that
Yeah.
got me through the day for so long. So
Yeah.
that's probably her thing.
I I hope so. I hope so. That's the kind of thing that she would have to say
Yeah.
publicly. I wouldn't say something like that. But I imagine it helps in some way. By the way, Wild said, I would love to show up. I think she means to a live event. I wish I could meet you and Angie in California. I'm in the Boston area now. I love this expansive vision. Wild, if you're still here, you need to email me because we're going to Massachusetts. We already have the date set. It's Sunday, October 5th at 1 p.m. in Gardner, which is probably an hour to 90 minutes from you. I expect to see you there. I expect
Yes.
you, if you want to join me on stage. Now, I understand most of my guests on stage will be past guests because they know me and they trust me, I think. To get some random suicide attempt survivor to trust me to speak openly in their own community about this is a long shot. But if that's you, Wild, you are invited to join me. If you want to just come to be in the
And that's
audience,
an amazing opportunity, yeah.
yeah, and just
See,
come.
that's
You
the
can come. You can
benefits
come to
of
Gardner. It's
streaming.
1 p.m. on the 5th. It's a Sunday. We are going to be doing it at Alyssa's Place, which is a nonprofit there that offer their space for free. They do some
Nice.
incredible work too. There'll be a time after the conversation with the guests to have an extended Q&A. Okay. Wild, you don't have a car. I may be able to arrange you to carpool with somebody, but you have to reach out to me because I don't know where you are. I don't know how to contact you. But if you reach out to me, hello@suicidenoted.com. I will try. I can't promise, but that would be really cool.
That would be
I don't
cool.
know if there's any buses, but I know that's a big ask. But if you can, that'd be cool. All right. 1 p.m. the 5th Sunday, Alyssa's Place. Alyssa with a Y, I believe, Gardner, Massachusetts. It's also public right now on Eventbrite. So if you go to eventbrite.com and you would like just put in the little search function, suicide noted, I'm sure it's going to come up. And you can see it and you don't have
You
to
might be banned
register.
on
But you could go
Eventbrite.
there right now and buy a ticket, and buying is $0. So you're not buying, you're just registering, mostly so we have a head count. And now Matej says, okay, damn. All right, he tried to do it phonetically. You could see the chat, Angie. I don't know what you're watching on. You could probably see the chat.
I'm on Riverside?
Yeah, are you on your computer?
Yeah.
On the platform, on the side, you don't see chat?
No.
Okay, I don't know how it is on the user end. Okay, so I found this. He put it in there. The J is like a Y at the end of play, and I have no
Oh, I
idea how to
see it
do the
now.
TE. It's like TJU, but TJ. Oh my God, machu. Okay. How about machui? Fuck. Sorry, bud. You can make fun of me. Do you see what I'm seeing here with all
Yeah,
the
I don't
like
understand what he's
he
saying.
put in like phonetics, like the legit phonetics you'd find in
Like
a
how
dictionary. I don't know what that means. I
dictionary.com.
asked him to
Yeah.
do it, but I don't know how to do it. Anyway, let's just call you
Yeah,
Matthew because you're okay with
in
it.
all fairness, you did say that, but I
Yeah.
knew that's not what you meant. That's how, if you go on dictionary.com, that's what it would say, but
No,
it's
but like,
like,
all right, so my name is SCAN, and that doesn't sound like the way you say it. But so what I want from you, Matthew, is he said I said it almost correctly. If it were me, I'm not going to a dictionary. I would put
yeah,
SHAWN. But the problem is right now is it doesn't translate into, like, the E has a little thing over it. Like, I don't know how he would be
but you
able
can
to
do
do
it like
that.
this. Here, I'm going to put my name phonetically. Angie.
Right.
So, like, that's what you
God,
want
we're
for
putting so
him,
much
right?
pressure on Matthew in the Czech Republic now to get it right, and he's just trying to do the best he can. And he's somewhere in Prague or somewhere in the Czech Republic, which, by the
Sorry,
way, used to be
Matthew.
one of my favorite countries growing up when it was called Czechoslovakia. That was a tie with Yugoslavia. I love the name of those places. The other thing I joke about, and this will come for if anybody grew up in a place like that, they're probably going to be livid with what I'm about to say because it is coming from a place of entitlement and privilege. And I know this, but there was something about, for some reason, I always say Yugoslavia in 1974. It was the heart of the Cold War. It was the heart of like the Soviet satellite. And it sounds like for a lot of people, it was a really hard life. But there's one thing that I'm attracted to, and it's the simplicity of choice, because there's so much choice here that I get so overwhelmed that it shuts me down. And it's a half joke and it's probably in poor taste, but I think, man, I just want to go to a store and there's only 3 choices of sneakers.
I
It's the
could
same
totally agree
sneaker
with
and
that.
one's yellow, one's green, and one's blue. I can choose from that. Now, someone would say, well, what if there's 50 sneakers? That's better because those 3 sneakers are still there, but you have 47 more options. Not for my brain.
I
I
totally
stopped shopping for sneakers and now I have really old sneakers.
because I'm from Chicago, so you go into any store, there's a gazillion of anything,
Yeah.
especially like the grocery store. If you go in the grocery store, there's like 100 different kinds of yogurt. And then I moved
Yeah.
here, and at first it was really jarring to not have things available. But now I like it because it's like, okay, now there's
Oh
3
my
kinds of
God.
yogurt. So it's like I don't have to waste all that time deciding and whatever. It's like just grab the one and go. So I
Yeah.
actually think it's actually a more simple life and easier when you have less choices.
I agree. I mean, and someone who has almost no choices in their life would say, are you kidding me? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. But hey. So maybe I'll see you in California.
I hope so. Yes, keep
That
me
would be
updated.
cool.
And I
I'm gonna
would be willing to speak and show my face and all the things.
that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
And
afraid of whatever.
what's gonna happen? I mean,
I'm kind of at the point if I disappear one day, it's because I'm too vocal. I'm okay with that.
how you would disappear away by being like thrown into a
Meaning,
dungeon of a mental health facility?
no, like sometimes the government makes people disappear when they're too vocal about things.
About suicide? Do you think that's a possibility?
Maybe. I don't
Hmm,
know.
maybe. I wonder if
I
there's
think
like, yeah,
I think there's things they don't want us to talk about.
probably. Probably. I mean, if you're just, whether it's suicide or other thing, you're just talking about it to be purely contrarian, okay. But I think we agree, and I'm pretty sure this applies to a lot of people who are at least familiar with this podcast and plenty of other people too, is like the reason we're doing it is for a reason that is, I think, a good reason.
Yeah, to
Like
help.
it's, yeah. I do believe that. I don't see how it personally benefits me in any other way. Like I'm not, I hope, like I said, I hope to get funding but I'm never going to be rich. I'm not that, I don't need to see my face on lives. And even though I rant, you don't see like on my social media, it's almost all audiograms of my
Yeah,
guests.
I don't think I've ever seen your
You don't
face.
see me because, and I think it would actually help me and help this whole cause to be more there. And so Ambient
Yeah.
said, you need to be doing more stuff with just your face and your rants, and they're fine. And it's because people need to connect it. Okay, yeah. But you don't see that much because I don't focus on me. I might sound like I do when we're talking here for 90 minutes. I understand that.
Yeah.
But this is my opportunity, right? But there's a reason for that, is I don't want to make it about me. And the point is I'm not doing this because I want people to see me. I don't. I will do it, but it's
Yeah.
not about that. I think the point is, I think that there's good intentions, but it is an interesting thing that I write in my little bios on social media. I don't put suicide prevention. I put suffering reduction, which sounds weird, but
See,
it's
that makes
more
perfect sense to me, though. I
good.
like that.
Well, right, because I think as a byproduct of this work, people will be less likely to harm themselves because they don't want to harm themselves.
Because their suffering has been reduced. So that's
Not
why I like
because
it.
they want to harm themselves and they are forced to stop temporarily. No.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference there.
There's a huge difference. Those
Right.
are 2
And
totally different things.
they are totally different things. And so that's the goal. I want to add, Matesh, Matthew. I'm just saying Matthew. I had English phonetics for like 3 months, and like any other name would be so much easier than actually right mind. Thank you. I love my country a lot. I kind of agree with you about the lack of choice being a good thing, only if it wasn't the only good thing about being in Soviet satellite. Right. Yeah. Man, I would love to talk to people in all these different places. Like it's been really cool. I've had several people in Europe, a handful in Africa, a few in Latin America, a few other spots around the world. But can you imagine if I was able to speak to people? You know what's tricky about it? Because right now we don't have the funding and it's basically me doing most of the work. As I want to expand and as I want to get more people, what that means is I have to do a lot more work. And you might say, well, that's just part of having a podcast. But just imagine, let's just say I was able to reach a lot more people and I had three a week.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the editing. So it's a really tricky spot, though. In order to expand, I have to outsource some of the work.
Yeah.
I would not have enough time in the day to do all of that work. And by the way, if you've ever done any sort of, I do audio editing, but whether it's audio or video, and you do that for 30 or 40 hours a week, that's not good for your mental health.
Yeah, it's a lot because it's so focused.
It's time consuming, it's labor intensive. I actually kind of like it, but there's a limit. So if I wanted to expand and have more guests, whether it's in different parts of the world, I have to be able to outsource the editing, and that to be done well is just not cheap. So it happens with a lot of small businesses or small organizations or whatever you want to call my thing. They're limited in their growth.
Yeah.
Because they can't take on too much more. So now I'm trying to branch out and doing other things or leverage the content I already have. For example, transcribing and translating is leveraging the content I already have.
Yeah.
A lot of my social media is leveraging the content I already have, right? But and the speaking thing is just an opportunity to not only talk about this more and invite past guests on, but to make money. Speaking is a thing where you can make pretty good money in a short period of time if you frame it well and you do the hustle in the front end. So that's part of it. Wild says, I really believe that if suicide wasn't shadow banned, the chat would be full all the time. I think ideations are increasing these times. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I get confused by the social media stuff because I do see organizations that have suicide in their name. And they have 50,000 followers. I'm like, okay, so what am I doing
because
wrong?
there's suicide prevention.
Right.
In the traditional sense.
I don't know how it works, man. I just think that I see the content I'm putting out, which is good, man. And it's not me. It's not me. Just to be clear, at this point, it's mostly not me. It's just my guests and clips. And it's powerful and it's strong. It's even aesthetically pleasing, I think. Like, and that matters. I get it. Like, it's kind of cool the way it looks. It might sound, and you've got the little, they're speaking and you see what they're saying. It's got the little.
Yeah, like, are you talking about like your TikTok format?
Yeah, I think it's good.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And that was ambient, by the way. She came up with all that and she's doing all of that. I wouldn't have done it. I would have been so overwhelmed, man. I mean, not that I don't want to do it. There's only so much I can do. Right. And I think, and so you're wondering, and this has been going on for 3 months. I'm not complaining. I guess I am complaining. We've been doing this for 3 months. I have fucking 54 followers. Thank you for my followers. But like, I see people with TikTok shit that's like on weird shit their cat does that has 500,000 followers.
Well, and that's what's frustrating about social media is the superficialness of it all.
Well, hey, yeah.
I think there's a lot of meaning to what you're putting out, but people would rather watch a stupid cat video.
And that's fine, because if people want to check out, that's cool. That helps them. That's fine. Like, I understand. Like, I'm not telling you what you should watch. What I'm saying is, if it was more available to people, there's a lot of people that would want to see it. And they don't even have the choice because they don't even know where to find it. You know, the way this works, for example, is like, if it's not coming in people's feeds, How are they finding it? If it's not being shown, they have to be like listening to the podcast, right? And having something they can click on or search for it. And on TikTok, they still can't find it. They get a notification that if you're struggling, call 988. And unlike YouTube, they don't even have an opportunity to then say, no, I'm good. I still want to see this content. They just can't find it. They just can't find it. So no wonder I have 54 followers, and thank you again for following. But
yes, one is me.
I have no problem. I'm not like ripping on people or a culture that prefers cat videos, because clearly if that's what people want to watch, watch that. But what I want is at least for this stuff to be available to people to find, and then they can choose what they want to do. And I will tell you right now, with my following on the 3 in particular, Facebook's a little different. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you see the content we're putting out and the regularity of the content and the quality of the content, okay, and then you look at the number of subscribers we have, and sure, there's things I could be doing better with hashtag. Sure, you can always be like more efficient or understanding the game and the hacks and all that shit. It's probably part of it. If you see how few subscribers or followers we have, now 3 months isn't a long time, but it's not a week.
Right.
Right? It's astounding. And one of the reasons I have to believe, it's not as if these places messaged me and said, oh, by the way, Sean at Suicide Noted, we're shadow banning you. That's not how it works.
Yeah, they don't tell you.
They just don't show it. So I want them to know, and they don't give a shit, I know, that by you not showing that to people, I promise you, you are causing harm. You might be thinking by not doing suicide, by not talking about suicide, we are in some way helping people because we don't want to give them ideas. I will tell you that might be true to a small percentage of people. There might be a 13-year-old out there who has access to TikTok, hears these videos, and gets an idea. Is it possible? It is. I'll tell you what's happening.
Here's the thing about that. You talk to suicide attempt survivors, so I feel okay saying how I did it because it didn't work.
Exactly, they survived. Right. But nonetheless, nonetheless, I get the thinking that kids might see it, and if the parents don't have the controls done the right way, you don't know. And let's play it safe. And the way you're playing it safe, and this is how we do it in the whole community of treating most things like a crisis that needs to be sent to a hospital against their will, is anybody talking about suicide, and just about, there's some exceptions if it's like a researcher maybe where it's clear that they're just talking about it. It's not a personal. What you're doing is to say, like, sort of throwing the baby out with the bathwater on crack or steroids is what you're doing. So to play it safe, you're eliminating all conversation about it. And I take and this is going to shock some people, more utilitarian perspective. There may be a tiny percentage of people who are affected in a way, but there's way more people you'll never know about who never call 988 because they know what happens when they call 988.
Yeah.
There's way more people that would benefit from this, but they can't even find it. I'm talking millions of people. I say this in the introduction to the podcast. Check this out. I just want to read one more thing. This is going on for a while and I love it. Are you cool with it? Talking a little more, Angie?
Yeah, I'm good for 25 more minutes.
All right, sweet. I want to just read what Wild wrote, and then I want to remind me to say something about what I say in the introduction about how many people try to end their lives and where I get that number from. Wild also wrote, I've been watching for years. I'm so frustrated this podcast isn't getting more reach. The shadow banning defies our constitution. Ooh,
yeah.
Shit. So I don't know about that. So I say in the introduction,
Isn't
millions
that freedom
of people.
Of speech, right?
I don't know where you draw the line because a private business can do what they want. I don't know. With the social media, it's weird. Is it journalism? Is it not? I don't know. They're doing what they do. Whether it's constitutional or not, they're doing it. I mean, they're doing it. And also, point. I think that TikTok's in China, so. But I say in the beginning, and I don't know how the introduction to my podcast episodes are essentially the same or similar, particularly the first part. And it evolved, but at some point I started saying every year around the world, millions of people try to end their lives and we almost never talk about it. Where do I get that number from? Well, I'll tell you where I get it from. And we know, for example, in the United States, that you can look back, the most recent numbers are like 2023, 48,000 people. Now we know for sure that 99+% of people who are deemed suicide were suicide. That's how they died. We also know that a lot of people who die where it's deemed something else were suicide. That number is always, always, always going to be lower. But even if we just use that number, 48,000, it is impossible to know how many people attempt per quote successful. Average numbers, and I've researched this, right? They say about for every person who died by suicide, there's 20 people that try. That number is probably also low. But
I
let's
would
assume
say
it's
so,
let's
yeah.
but let's even say it's not only low, it's high, it's half that. And it's way more than half that. That means in the United States, way conservative, 500,000 people try to end their lives. I just did the math.
Yeah.
500,000. Now it's probably a couple of million, but let's just say it's 500,000. Now we look at the world, and I'm going by like the World Health Organization. I'm not going by some random fucking person on Reddit. Okay. World Health Organization, 800,000+ people end their lives every year in the world. Now, again, that number is almost always going to be significantly lower than the actual number. Now we have, let's say it's 800,000. Conservative. Now we know for every one person that tries, one person that succeeds and dies, 20 people. Okay, let's put that in half to be as conservative as we can. If 800,000 people try, multiply that by 10, that's 8 million. In reality, it's probably 15, 20 million. But let's just say 8 million. And that is as a conservative a number as you can possibly get. That is millions and millions of people.
That's insane.
Every year trying to end their life. And most of them don't have anywhere to talk about it. Because I'm telling you right now, in many ways, we are barbaric in the way we treat it, but we are more progressive than a lot of countries. There are probably some countries, from the limited understanding I have in parts of Europe, that are more open about it in some ways. That's a small percentage of the number of people in the world. I can tell you that the majority of the world where people live, it is more dangerous to talk about it than it is here. It is more
Is Asia
taboo.
one of those places?
Yeah, in most parts of the world, it is more taboo. It is more potentially dangerous. In some places, it remains illegal. So there's nowhere to talk about it. And even if there are places, like, there's not a number where we're never going to have I don't think we'll ever hear the following statement really coming from someone's mouth. There are too many places to talk about this stuff. There's just way too many places to talk about this stuff. That's never going to be a problem. So
no,
there's not. So, and think about this. We live in a world with technology now. There's about I'm guessing 8 billion people. Of those 8 billion people, some of them are children. Some of them are really old. They have no idea how to use technology. There are billions of people in the world, right? At least half of them have Wi-Fi access. Guessing. I can only speak about the English-speaking world. There's one person in the world, in the English-speaking world, who has a podcast that is dedicated now to suicide attempt survivors, where they can talk about anything they want. Now, I don't say that to boast. I say that as a condemnation. That is fucking astounding. Like, it's a shame on you that you're letting a random fucking dude in North Carolina, who I think is doing a good job with it, this is who you're letting do. Like, what are you doing?
They're barely letting you do it. Yeah.
And you're making it hard for me. What are you doing? Go search on podcasts. Go on Spotify. And if I'm wrong, I will own up to it.
You're
100%.
not wrong.
Go on Spotify. There's millions of podcasts. Go on Spotify. Go on Apple. Go on YouTube. These are massive platforms. Massive. See who's having open and honest conversations about this. I actually know of 2 or 3 people. And again, I'm not including podcasts where they might have a handful of their episodes dedicated to a attempt survivor.
Yeah, you're talking about that is the thing.
But I'm telling you, and I'm sure there are some exceptions here, most of them where an episode is with an attempt survivor, I'm sorry, I know this is super subjective, they're not doing a good job of it. They're not. Because I think their perspective is just giving you the mic is enough. It's like, no. That's not when you approach them in these weird ways where you're like diagnosing them or candy coating things, or in your experience with suicide, don't say the word suicide, don't talk about method, don't talk about this. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I know that there's best practices for media and journalists, and I don't know if I fall in that category, and I'm not even sure those are valid and if they've been tested, because you don't want the copycat and all that. I'm not pushing back hard against that. The journalists, to play it safe, have things they do, they've been researched, that's fine. The point is, I have found 2 or 3 other human beings in the English speaking world who do this and do it well. 2 of them are, and one of them is on YouTube and they have about 15 videos, and he's more of a filmmaker. Good for him. It's not how I do it. I think I do it really well, and I don't know, and I'm not giving names. You want to find it, it's really easy to find. Go find it on YouTube. Put in the keywords. It's really, I did it, you can do it. And one other person who has a blog, and she does some photo work, and she's pretty big in the suicide space, and she does some great work. That's it. And everybody else who you say, and some of you are attached to big organizations, here's what they do. We have all these people that tell their stories, and 9 point whatever times out of 10, do you know what that looks like? It's a short little blurb which they talk a tiny bit about the struggle. When I was 19 years old, I tried to take my life. Maybe a couple more sentences, and the rest is about their recovery.
Yeah.
And they're probably also giving a big shout out to the organization that's featuring them on their website. I've got no problem with that. I think people probably see that and get some whatever. But you're not letting people talk about it when you do that. You're giving them a tiny little leash. And saying, whether you're saying it explicitly or otherwise, but mostly we want to talk about how things are okay now. Are you talking to the people who are not okay now? They don't have a bow to wrap up. They're still struggling. There are so many fucking people like that.
Yeah.
The passive ideators are my most interesting group of humans. It's the largest number, and it's one in a weird way that are silenced the most.
I think so too, because what I told you earlier, I would never tell that to anyone else. But I felt okay telling it to you.
And I'm not doing anything. I mean, what am I really doing? Like, you might be wondering, people are, wait, well, what qualifies you, Sean? I'll tell you, I don't know what qualifies me. One, I made a choice to do it. I tried to do it well and ethically and responsibly, but honestly and openly. I have a master's in teaching. Does that play a role? Probably not. I was a crisis text line counselor for a little while. Does that play a role? I don't think so. I decided to do it. I give a shit. I lost somebody. I've struggled for years myself with ideating, and I didn't read a book about it. I didn't take a course.
I think it's just the empathy.
You can do it. I mean, it's doable. Not for everybody. There are people that suck at it and will always suck at it. I'll be honest. There are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's up with your brain. I'm sure you're awesome at some stuff. You're never going to be good at this. My friend Sharon, who's a public speaking coach, she hates when I do stuff like that. She's like, everyone can get better. I'm like, I didn't say they couldn't get better. I'll say they still suck.
Yeah.
But many people, you can be better at this. Part of it's a choice. Part of it's just learning a little bit. Part of it's getting out of your own way, having some awareness. Part of it, honestly, is I'm gonna boast on your behalf, Angie, and Sean's behalf. It's listening to these kinds of conversations and taking some of the ideas and saying, all right, what did he do there? What did she do there? That's how you open a conversation. That's how you remain non-judgmental. That's what curiosity looks like. That's what it looks like when you don't close down a conversation, or when you don't say the things that, that's what it looks like. I fuck it up. I get it wrong. That's why these lives are risky for me, because when I edit, I get to edit that shit out. Or I get to do it and I can say, oh, my bad. I'm sorry, Angie. Like, I didn't mean to come off as a dick. I actually don't have to say that very often, but I could do it when we're editing, right? And the people don't hear that. I can't do it. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do a live. I'll fuck it up.
But see, I don't feel like
sometimes, but like, people have forgiveness. If you own your shit,
Yeah.
And you say, Angie, you know what? I think what I said was weird and I didn't mean to. Most of the time, not all, you'll be like, it's cool. It's cool. I get
Yeah,
it. You know
like
what I
if
mean?
they
Like you
were
can
a
do
dick,
that.
I would be yeah, I don't care.
Can I write what Matthew wrote? I want to say what Matthew wrote. I know you
Oh,
only have a
yeah.
few more minutes. Matthew, I don't know why your last message got deleted. I promise you I didn't delete it. Oh
Oh, maybe
shit.
because I used the S word. Oh, that's
No
insane.
way. No way. Okay, no. Matthew, if you're still here, I want you to use that word again and I want to see if it gets deleted because that would
That's
blow my
insane because
mind.
I don't see it.
Angie, I want you to write the word suicide in there right now. Wild wrote, what you're doing is being honest and not bullshitting, and it's so refreshing. Thank you, Wild, and thank you, Matthew. Angie just wrote the word suicide. Now, I don't know. This is on live. This is a live thing on YouTube. It's also on this platform called Riverside where I'm recording. It's a little better than Zoom. Sorry, Zoom, you're good at some things, but Riverside is better for this. The quality's just better, and it's easier to go live. Right now, I see the word suicide is staying there. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe it's because I didn't use it in context of anything.
I don't know how these bots do their shit, man. These algorithms are weird. Word test. Oh, Matthew. All right. Thank you, Matthew. Word test, suicide, word test. All right. I'm going to write something here too, just to play around. Like suicide, I don't think, because it's an opinion, this isn't fact, suicide is selfish. I don't think suicide is selfish. Send. Just see what happens.
Interesting.
All right. They're staying there for now. Maybe it takes a little while for the bot, or maybe I don't know. We'll see. I think this is the first time in any of my lives that more than one person reached out in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Wild and Matthew.
Thank you, Wild and Matthew, and Angie. This has been so interesting. I want to do more lives.
Yeah,
and
I like
apparently lives are good for, like, YouTube likes showing lives. I was told that. Maybe that's no longer true. And I also know that, like, this is long. I ain't Joe Rogan with these 3-hour things, but maybe people are too. Do you know what? Here's another interesting fact. And this is, I'm not ripping on people. I'm trying to figure out the game. Those little audiograms that we pull from the episodes, that audio, but you hear the voice and you see it, they're like typically 30 to 90 seconds. And I don't know, the magic of ambient and the way she's able to, like, find shit that I just don't know how to, I just won't ever figure out. She's like, oh, we can look on YouTube and see if people are watching till the end.
Oh, yeah, because there's analytics. They're not?
A lot of them aren't. And I'm like, wait, so this is 30 seconds or 60 seconds? They're not watching that. So I'm either thinking maybe this content isn't good, or maybe it's not reaching the people that need to hear it, because they would watch. It's so short. It's so easy to access. It's so fun. I'm looking back at this. Some of them, I haven't talked to some of these people in years. I'm like, this shit is so good. I just love it. I do.
I do too. Interesting. So how long are they listening? Like 5
I don't know.
seconds?
I'll look back. It's just like weird. Well, I'm going to just check. I'm going to test something right now. Check this out. Oh, you see what this is only up for 20 seconds. We can show it here. We should be allowed to discuss suicide as much as we want, whenever we want, however we want. That's from Wild, and we can see the little heart thing she's got there.
Oh, it's Wild Light Arts. Oh, cool.
And then I can show this on stream for 20 seconds max. Check this out. Thank you for keeping me company this afternoon. Happier. I'm happy hanging out. And then check this out. Let's do this. We're going to word test this, and we're going to put it on here to see if they now nix it, because the word suicide is now, people can see it. We're just testing you, YouTube bot algorithms, or maybe it's Riverside. I doubt it's Riverside. Are you going to nix this or not? All right. Now this I have 20 seconds max, so it's going to go away, I think. All right, Matthew, thanks. He's getting up early.
Oh,
it's
bye,
after 10
Matthew.
p.m. Oh, Matt in school. Thank you, guys. Come back, Matthew. Appreciate your support and chiming in. Get some good sleep in the former Czechoslovakia, one of my favorite countries and one of the hardest countries to spell. Oh my God. Just try it. Try spelling Czechoslovakia.
It's CZ.
Yeah, but good luck after that. Good luck after that. We're just dumb. I'm just a dumb American. I'm not going to speak for you, Angie. You're a smart American. I'm a dumb American. North American, or whatever we want to call ourselves. What's the rest of your day like?
Well, I'm gonna take a break and go surfing, and then
You just get to hang out and surf in the middle of the day?
well, I feel like it sounds like the dream life, right? But I'm actually
Well,
kind of on a time constraint because I have more calls this afternoon, and then I have some stuff to do this afternoon, so it's kind of like the only
I'm
time I have to go.
I'm not questioning anything about your productivity or anything like that.
No,
If
but
you can
people think
surf
I
in the
just
middle
like
of the
surf
day
all
and work it
day.
in, how far is it from where you're sitting right now to the closest waves that you sometimes catch?
So I store my board at the beach, so between getting ready, walking out the door, and getting in the water, it takes like 30 minutes.
Do you walk to the beach?
No, I bike. I take one of those bike share bikes.
How awesome is that?
So
Are you
I'm
in
only
Honolulu?
like yeah, so I'm actually only like a mile away from the beach, but there's a golf course, so I have to go around the golf course, so that makes it a little bit
Okay.
longer, but
A
it's not
couple
bad.
more, two more questions. One is the stuff that you say you have more calls. Is that about like your work?
Yes, because I quit my corporate job and I started my own business, and I'm also trying to get some local public speaking gigs. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so all my calls are related to my new business.
That's so cool. Um, I want to know if the cheapest studio in your area, how much does it cost per month?
I honestly don't even know. Here, let me look quick.
I bet it's at
If
least
I was
$2,000.
just gonna say if I had to guess, I would say 2000 studio. Actually, I'll say Studio Waikiki.
It's probably like New York numbers.
Oh, whoa. This one's 2,800. That might be
Yeah.
fully furnished though, like
All right. But
1,750. Yeah, it's
okay.
probably about 2,000.
And food there is probably some of the most expensive in the country.
Yes and no, because again, I moved from Chicago. A lot of things cost the same,
Okay.
like milk or like certain things, like, yes, are like totally outrageous, but it's only like a handful of things that are like ridiculous. Because here's the thing, that's like the biggest misconception of like groceries are so expensive because you have to ship them here. But in my corporate job at one point, there were 4 people on my immediate team, and we would have calls every week. I live here, obviously. One lived in Chicago, one lived in Austin, Texas, and one lived in Dallas, Texas. Every week for like several months, we would have a list like macaroni and cheese, whatever. We'd have like 5 things that each of us would have to research our local prices. And then we
Oh.
would come back and convene. Most regions were about the same. Every region had their one thing that was more than
Mhm.
everyone
Mhm.
else, but because
Mhm.
that's what, and that's how the conversation started. People are like, "Oh my God, you probably spend so much on groceries," and I'm like, "I don't really spend that much more than Chicago," and we did that. And again, even like Dallas would have the thing that cost more than everyone else. So our groceries, other than like milk, eggs, or like something very specific, it's not that much more than the rest of the country, which makes you question, why does it cost so much on the mainland? I think you guys are getting ripped off.
Well, all right, one more question about your speaking.
Yes.
You may not want to answer this.
Okay.
It sounds like you're doing um potentially some free stuff at first.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of what ideally, let's say within a year, whatever it might end up being, that you'd
Yeah.
like to charge?
What I would like to charge, what I feel comfortable charging, or what I believe is possible, because I
Both.
hired I hired a coach who's helping me with
Mhm.
my TED talk, and she was like, once you get in at TEDx, she's like, you can charge like $75,000 an hour or like
7,500?
ridiculous prices. Huh?
7,500.
75,000 or like 25,000.
All
Like
right.
you can
So
charge a ton for public speaking.
do you know that I did a TEDx talk?
You did?
Do you know
Uh-oh.
what
And
happened?
what happened?
The worst thing. My speech was fine. It was at a high school.
Okay.
I took some pictures, and they had some pictures they sent me after.
Okay.
And then I got an email, and they said, "We're really sorry. The video didn't work.
No.
We were recording it, and something happened, and nobody's video is working. We're really sorry." True. And I think I have, you'll see, I have on some of my stuff, you'll see me in front of this big TEDx. It's some really good photos.
Yeah.
And I think people would probably think it's Photoshopped. I'm like, it's not Photoshopped. I really did the TEDx. It was a pretty good talk. They don't have the video. And I, at that time being an amateur, never
Yeah.
thought to back it up with some kind of my own video, at least getting my camera, putting just something, some proof. So
Yeah.
my thing to you is back it
Prove
up
it.
with your own
Thank
video.
you.
Something is better than nothing. Oh shit.
Matthew.
Whoa. I don't
Oh.
know. Matthew, I think holy shit, this is interesting. I'm gonna put this up. This has
Yeah.
to be up.
I think it was the context that he used the
No,
word.
I'm not a suicide attempt survivor, because if I was to, I want to do it properly. I'm scared of being strapped down
But
to a wheelchair or something.
this was the message he sent with the actual word that got deleted. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's the actual context that they're.
No, because scroll up and all of them are there. Maybe it's just getting deleted on his side. I don't understand. I see them. I see those.
No, this was the original message, though.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's saying. And now he edited it so it would actually show up.
Shit. So you put the word suicide in this thing I just put up. Let me put this up again just so people can see it. So in this message that I'm putting up here, this S asterisk was fully written out.
Yes.
And because he wrote potentially what the other stuff here is, it got deleted, but our test didn't have this sort of context, so it's still there maybe. What the fuck, man? What sucks, man? I don't blame you for being scared of being strapped down to a wheelchair. That would shut somebody up.
And that's what would happen, unfortunately.
Imagine some of these hospitals and some of these places, including some parts in the United States. I'm sure they're like fucking dungeons. They really are.
Yeah.
I remember I know you got to go, but I was remember in the ER. That's a whole other thing. We don't have enough beds. Build some more fucking beds. What do you mean you don't have enough beds? How many times have you heard that at the Hyatt? We don't.
I know. They find a way to put you in a room.
Way. So you put in this shithole waiting area where no one communicates with you. And then if you're not fucked up going in, you're fucked up by the time you're done in that place because it's inhumane. And then they're like, well, yeah, we think you need to stay. I'm like, yeah, because you just put me in this place for 2 days that is, like you said, a caged animal, which is the exact words I've used. But I remember so vividly one of the staffers there, who, let's assume he probably started that work and he was well-intentioned, but it's a fucking hard job and he's not getting paid well and he's got his own stuff, but it doesn't justify what he did, because they said, don't leave your rooms and these little spaces. It's like, what? Like, and I went out because I wanted to make a phone call. My God, what was I thinking to actually call someone in my life and let them know?
Yeah.
How dare you, right? Like, think about how crazy that is. That's what you're normalizing. So I reached out to the guy and he was like walking by. I'm like, excuse me. And he's like, go back to your room. And I was confused mostly. So I'm like, something like I said, like, sorry, I want to I don't think you understand. Like, I just want to make a phone call. And he looked at me with this like fierceness in his fucking eyes. Here's what he says. This I will never forget. Go back to your room or I will send your ass to the basement.
So there was an even worse location.
So I don't know what was in the basement.
And
I don't know if we had the power to do that. Think about that kind of threat you're saying to somebody who was going into that space 2 days prior or 1 day prior because they were in a lot of pain.
And that's where it's so gross how they treat people.
It is insane. And if anybody hears that and I'm sorry, this is really a hard, like, if you hear that and you're thinking, well, you're the problem.
Yeah, because that makes you want to kill yourself even more when you're treated that way.
Like, I'm telling you, you are a problem. You are entitled to feel and think however you want. I will never tell people what they should be, but that is a problem. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not sure you should treat criminals that way, but that's how you're treating somebody. For being in, you're criminalizing someone because they're suffering. Because their life is hard and shit is hard and whether they have a mental health condition that's diagnosable or not, whether they're taking medication or not, whether this or they're not, they're in pain. You don't go to places like this unless you're in pain. You don't try to end your life or think about ending your life unless you're in pain. I can say that almost unequivocally. I'm not every human, so I can't speak for every human. I'm telling you, this is about pain. And you're going to threaten them to send them to the basement. And of course, he just said that to other people. Of course, that kind of thing is done in all kinds of hospitals every day since we've been talking. And it's been a more than 2-hour great conversation. I'm sure that those kinds of words have been uttered in hospitals around the country and in different parts of the world many times by somebody who was in pain. Oh, but he does. This person who's in pain is like acting out and they're yelling. Well, what kind of conditions are you putting them in? Do you think if I put you in a place like that for a couple of days and treated you like shit, you wouldn't yell a little bit?
Yeah, it made
Really?
my
Do you?
situation worse.
Try it out. Tell me. No, and let's look at this. You yell when you don't get quick service at a fucking restaurant.
Exactly.
You leave bad reviews on Yelp when the waiter isn't nice to you. You feel like it's something you should speak up about. How are you going to do 2 days in an ER where nobody's communicating with you and you're fucking scared and you have no idea what's going to happen and people aren't using your name and they're just treating you like a fucking animal and they're putting you in this small... How are you going to do? It doesn't matter to you because you're never going to be there. I'm telling you, you would start acting like an animal. You would. Come on, maybe give me a TEDx talk. What? Give me another TEDx talk. Where are you,
TEDx
Mr.
is
TEDx?
heavily censored as well, by the way.
Fuck it. Angie, we got to talk. I know you got to go. Thank you.
Yeah, but definitely, I'm going to put a note on my calendar too, but definitely keep me in mind for the California tour because I would love to be live if possible.
Dude, yeah. You can do more than one. Hop in the car with me. We'll go to a couple of. I mean, I know you have a life, and we might meet each other and be like, oh my god, he's so annoying.
We got along so well.
But I'm just saying, like, if there's anybody out there that wants to hop in my car, split gas, and fucking go on to more than one location, I'm open to that. Anyway, Wild has one. I'm just gonna put one Wild Road, and then we're gonna go. Okay. There's two things she wrote. Locking people up, drugging them, and censoring them is not going to lead anyone to happiness. The method is absolute madness. Threatening and intimidating people in crisis is very dark and ugly. And then she wrote this. I don't know when it's going to show. And I do think that in order to be a psychiatrist and hospital professional, you should have to experience what it's like directly. Yeah, I mean, there's something about lived experience that is you cannot replace. You know when people have either experienced or they get it. You just know. You feel it in your bones everywhere, in every pore. Like, okay. But just because you haven't gone through something doesn't mean you can't be empathetic. And
that's how I feel.
And I'm probably using these words, but if you're a sociopath or a psychopath and you lack that ability, oh well, but most of you aren't that. So it's possible. And there's sirens in the background. Let's hope it's not.
I was just going to say, hold on.
It's fine. That would be irony.
I know. Well, I have to go anyway, but it was so amazing talking to you.
Somehow I'm going to have to edit this for the update episode, but actually most of it will be just that first chunk.
Yeah, there's nothing I'm opposed to, but I get it. It's kind of long, so.
No, it's all good. We'll figure it out. All right, have a good, enjoy your surf, enjoy your work. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye.
Ciao.